I think there was a network issue, so I dropped off.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm back. So I was struggling. I was talking about something in particular. Yes, I was talking about guidelines, and I was mentioning that it may not be graphics, it may be you may have nothing to do with printing or design or whatever it is because you're a writer, right? Um, Still, your approach you have to vary your approach depending on what you're communicating with. If you're writing a press release, your language may be different. If you, of course, are working on a corporate statement or an annual report, your approach will also be different. And if you're working with social media, of course, you may have room to play around depending on how regulated your industry is, because that's important. Sometimes it's not necessarily your company, it's your regulator. So even if you are thinking that okay, we need to be very adventurous and all that, like Sterling Bank, for instance, CBN may just be looking at you like, okay, go on. So I think those are considerations you need to make, but I don't think that those things should hold you down. The most important part is you, of course, know the rules, know the kind of industry you play in, know your regulator, most importantly, know your audience as well. Sometimes your audience may be very old people, and you may need to segment your audience. Yes, and that's also important. Know who you're talking to. Segmentation is very important. I do a lot of or oversee a lot of email marketing, for instance. And if I begin to tell you the kind of, people will maybe say demographic and audience, they break it down into like four parts and say, you know what, new customers, returning customers, male customers, female customers, young customers. The way, if I want to, send an email to just people who are suffering, who are managing hypertension today, I can do it. you know. And of course, when I'm talking about knowing your audience, I think that the strongest story I'm trying to talk about, the strongest thing trying to talk about is about data. You can't shy away from data. You can't shy. I'm not saying you have to crunch numbers or anything, but at the very minimum, you need to understand that data itself tells a story. I think that there was an experience at some point in time. People usually just think data is numbers, and then it is this is more than this or this is less than this, and then they try to understand data from the perspective of performance. Like, so this is 100% better, this is 20% worse, this is this, so we try to improve, blah 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 blah. 90% of the time, people tend to ask the wrong questions from data. They don't ask why. And that why is where you come in as a storyteller. That why is the most important bit of it. A perspective I'll bring in first and foremost is that I think in 2017, we were doing some work for the Tony Foundation. Of course, they've helped a lot of people. They paid millions of dollars to support businesses and all that. They've done that, and it's great. Now it's about communicating this. And then every time we keep saying 50% of this, I've done this, 30 men, 20 men in Kenya, 100 men in. And I'm like, wait, all these people, all these men, all these numbers, are they not people? You know, can we not say Busayo from so and so was a this, and she does this, and because of this, she has been able to earn or triple her income or triple her revenue to do this. People really did not think about it because first and foremost, and this is a strong case for corporate comms, because they had social media people, they had digital marketing people, they had corporate comms people, right? They did not have a writer at art. They did not have a storyteller at art. So most of the things they were just doing, they were communicating, right? But they were not telling stories. And then the craziest part was the stories were there. I just had to say, you know what? Can you pull out? And it was interesting because before I go to what I asked them to do, because the way the foundation works is the foundation is being funded by all the companies in the group, you know. Also, of course, development partners like the Red Cross, like UNDP, etc., etc. That's how they get their funding, Google, and all that. So basically, it's our number one CSR. Most of our CSR efforts at Avon, and that's of course all the other companies goes into the foundation, right? So you're asking me to just tell people that, you know what, register for the next funding, blah 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 blah. Do. How do I begin to communicate this thing to people? Because I'm a healthcare business, and then what exactly is the connection between myself and the foundation? So I asked them, you know what, every healthcare business that has been supported over the past 5 years, can you like give me their names and all that, what they did? Can I have that access to that data? So it was easier for me to communicate my brand side of it and say that, draw a straight line from Avon HMO as a healthcare company to these healthcare businesses and say that Avon HMO, by supporting the foundation, they've been able to empower so company like Life Bank, like Doctora, like some of those companies, like I don't know, Alien Melt is not one of them, but some of those companies that we know and love, and respect for what they do. Because of this, we've been able to do this because you now put a face to the people. You can character. You basically created characters, and then said this about them. And if people can relate more to characters than they can relate to numbers. And I think that's a very important aspect of telling stories with data. So we just we see data and then we think that data is your data. If you ask why, right, about the data, you ask how, you'll be able to pick out a final story from that data that nobody will see. And the reason why you can see it is because you're a writer. So that's a very strong case for, because they had corporate comms guys, they had like really senior figures at that point in time, people that could know what they can do too. And everybody was sitting and they were like, you know what, how can we do this? We need to also get this thing too. Of course, they've done enough, but how can we do more? And I'm like, social media, we kept saying, you just keep saying 2 days to go, 1 day to go. People, and we were able to do a whole lot. And from then, the approach just changed. And I think I can still like talk about it anyway because I had to mention it, and then it just like got people thinking in a particular way. And then of course they started telling stories. They started telling better stories. A similar experience or example is with the chairman when people, every time it's just about announcing deals and we've done this, we've achieved this, we've done that. But what happened before, what happened behind the scenes, stuff like that. Because I think that's what, and the way LinkedIn is, because I got involved with the LinkedIn and then the blog, right? And people say a whole lot. LinkedIn is just where you go and you say, I'm excited to announce that, da, 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 da. And people will come there and clap for you. And you just see congratulations, like 500 comments, congratulations, congratulations, da, 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 da. Like, but when you really think about it, how has that helped anyone? You've made an announcement, you've not told the story, you know. But can you look for ways to actually impact and inspire people, or get them to take specific actions? And that's the finest thing about the intersection between storytelling and corporate comms is that the brand really, what they're trying to achieve as far as communication is concerned is, what do you want people to see? How do you want them to feel? And what do you want them to do? That feeling part cannot be achieved with anything other than storytelling. It can't. We're always attracted to stories. We are people of, we are story, we are, I don't know how to put it. If you look at over history, if you look at everything, people are Christians today, not just because of salvation, but because of the story behind it. People are Muslims today, not just because of what the prophet had done or what they've done or how they spread. It's because of the story. Because a whole lot of people were not there. But those stories carried on because they were fantastic. Yes, we'll have time to admire skin. Let me finish. you know. But yeah, it's great, So I think that that's the finest point. You have to look for how you come in. And I think that by telling all these bits and pieces of the stories I've told, you can really see how important you are to corporate organizations. Um, at the end of the day, it comes down to the things I said last. What you want people to see, how you want them to feel, and what you want them to do. Do you want them to like you more? It's not necessarily about buying products all the time. For instance, the brand I manage, you can't go to our pages and say, come and buy, come and buy, come and buy, product, product, product. No, 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 no. We always tell stories how to do this, how to do that. That's how you really endear yourself to people. Like a whole lot of the brands. Think about it. Of course, you drink Coke because you are thirsty. But if you look at their ads, they are not telling you to drink Coke. They are stories. You look at Nike, they are not just saying wear these shoes. They are stories. They are always telling stories. And that's really what it is. If you can tell stories that connect with people, that connect to their very core, then you've gotten them for life, more or less. Of course, you have to, of course, ensure that their experiences match with the stories you're telling, but that's a story for another day. But at the very beginning, just ensure that you connect with them. And you can't connect with them without stories. And that is where you come in as a storyteller in any corporate organization. You know what? Your pitching points, I think, should be if you're applying anywhere and all that. It should be that I tell stories that make brands look good. You've gotten them. So I think I'll stop here for questions and whatever it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Did he go off? Hey God. Oh. Wahala, wahala, wahala. Who's this? Network issues. Thank you, Comfort. Let me use this time to say thank you. Before he comes back, do we have any questions though? While we're waiting for him to come back. Wait, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Um, sorry. Network is weird. Hmm. But do we have any questions? Oh, sorry about that, too, Demi. No? Demi, do you have questions? Thought I saw you raise her hand. Comfort, do you have questions? Because I know this was your ask the last time. I feel like nobody can hear. Okay. Question: can you confidently call all writers storytellers? So wait, the way you put questions are come. Oh, because I didn't open the chat space, right? Wait, but why can't you put on your mic? Adata and Comfort and Dami.
I can. I can put on my mic.
Okay, because I was worried. Yeah. Okay, to be fair, to answer your question before he comes, no, I don't think that you can call all writers storytellers. But I think that it's a skill that can be learned. I mean, you're already a writer, right? So okay,
Okay, so I'm
Deoye
back.
can continue.
Yeah, I think
You
I
have a
was.
question.
Okay, please.
Somebody said, "Can you confidently call all writers storytellers, or there's a gap?"
I don't think there's a gap really. Everyone really, every writer, like, and I mean writers in the sense of the word, because of course putting words on paper is qualifies as writing, but that's not the writing we're talking about. Yeah, every writer is a storyteller, really,
Hmm.
and I'm not talking about people who are really, I'm not talking about you just posting on Facebook. Oh. No. I'm talking about like if you see yourself as someone who, of course, not just you're not just, of course, it's not just on you, right? You're actually looking to get people to take certain actions, right? And I don't mean activism, I don't mean anything commercial or whatever it is. So long as you are writing something to evoke a specific kind of feeling in the minds and hearts of people, you're a writer. You know, I would say that every writer is a storyteller, but not every writer actually engages in storytelling. Some people don't even know that what they are doing is storytelling, or they don't even bother about that aspect. So you see a whole bunch of. I think that, for instance, annual reports would be much more interesting to read if they
It's
told
more
stories.
fun. Yeah.
Literally, Spotify Wrapped is a story. You know, that thing they show you at the end of the year, like this is how
Yeah.
you listen to music. It's a story. You know, but they won't be able to achieve any of that if and from that story actually came from data, from your data of how you use the app over the years. Um, I'll give an example. So our operation unit, for instance, has like a bank of story data over the years about how many people did this, how many people went to the hospital, how much you paid, this and that. I didn't really get to look at it before, right? I knew those things were there until after Wrapped last year. I was like, let me even dig into seeing how people access healthcare. Give me data on this. At the end of the day, I found out how many babies were born, how many people were doing antenatal, how many people were doing this, how many people were doing that. And it's crazy how much I found out to the point of how much we paid to hospitals. It's a crazy amount. I didn't put that out there, yeah, because, because what if a competitor had paid more and then they will use it and say, these guys paid this, but we paid this. I didn't want any of that. I just want to, and also it takes the focus away from people to yourself and how much you're paying. Focus on, and I think that's the final part of storytelling. There has to be a hero or a star. Doesn't necessarily have to be you. It could be somebody else. It could be your customers. It could be your clients. It could be people who sell to you. It could be your business partners. But there has to be a star. So yeah, I think that every writer, in the sense of even people who do technical writing, are storytellers. Now, do they engage in storytelling? That's a different thing entirely. And I think that. Please just give me a second.
Sorry, Adata, I don't really get your second question. Are you asking him to send us like a sample of stuff he has done for a brand? Like a story or not sure I get it. Can you like explain? Adata?
Okay, hello, Bibi. I want to
I,
ask. So from this class, or let's say from this lecture, we he talked about storytelling as ways for us to connect with our audience and the rest of. So I want to know, is it like a one-off thing, or it's something that is continuous? As
like
in
you
using
mean using
storytelling
stories?
for, as in for business and corporate brands.
Okay, okay. I'll wait for him to come back. But my answer is like it's a continuous thing. It's just something you keep applying to like different strategies, different like instead of saying the same way you would have maybe like how he used annual reports, same way you'd have done your regular like maybe building out content from the brand for the brand. You just like infuse a little bit of storytelling into it so that it's not boring, right? So it sort of helps bring out the creative side. But now I get your question out. When he comes, he'll answer.
So sorry, guys. I'm back.
Okay, welcome.
Yes. So I think there was a question. The question was
That's your
about.
follow up.
Yes, please.
So, I mean, the question I'm reading it, she says, can I get to see a sample of work done for a brand? Like a storytelling sample done for a brand. Like, she was trying to, like, the application of storytelling. Is it a one off thing you do or something like you have to continuously do? Like, she wants to see, like, a practical example of using storytelling.
Okay, okay, yeah, I could give you, I could send samples at the same time. I think even while you wait for the samples, I could also, um, just give an explanation. Um, I won't use the brand I currently work for now. I would use Heineken, and I would say that storytelling is continuous, it never stops, right? It doesn't matter who the principal actors are. You may not be the principal actor, you may not be the writer of that particular story, you may have written one story, but it always provides a backing for other stories to come. And even in you writing your own story, you have to look back. Like I said, nothing happens in a vacuum. So in 2016 or thereabouts, Heineken was doing a recruitment drive, and it was called Go Places. Now, you have recruitment drives of we have vacancies. We are looking for A, B, C, D, and E, and then you see them on LinkedIn, and you see the job description and everything, and then you apply. And end of story, right? That's recruitment. Now, what Anakin did was, like I said, it was Go Places, right? They, I think I'll send a link to it as well so that you can watch. But what they did was that they just called out to fans to do certain things. So I think people had interviews, then they staged something after those interviews. The things they staged after those interviews could be, somebody having an emergency heart issue or whatever that needed resuscitation. It could be somebody in a fire, and then people were downstairs holding on to something to, get the person to jump over. They did a whole bunch of stuff, right? When the people who participated in those interviews were leaving, they met each and every one of those scenarios, right? Now they could just have said, I don't work here, it's none of my business, let me just walk away. And some people did, but some people stopped to participate. It had nothing to do with their job, right? Or the job that they were applying for. But they stopped to participate in those things that were going on. They stopped to help out with the fire. They stopped to help out with people who fainted or who faked that they fainted. Did any of some of those things. At the end of the day, these people didn't just get the job, right? They were asked to participate in the Champions League final, and hold on to, they were asked to, what there's something that happens before every game, and if you follow football you would know, where they hold on to the round thing that looks like the ball, and everybody just stands around it and holding on to that thing. Some people also participating in various roles, right? When I send the video, you would really love it, and I think it's really heartwarming. So you won't believe that, as they were showing what happened in the stadium that day, was they were showing the various interviews and the various scenarios, and showing the
Oh,
people who were at the stadium, who got those jobs, who were participating, right? So they could see themselves on the screen while doing their jobs, and it was just crazy. It just at that point in time, I think I had to write a feature article on it and all that. But all that was in my head was how to work for any. I'm not kidding. Like that is how story, and you notice that every year, if you sometimes for someone look at the most, and that's how some people maybe fell in love with football, by the way, or fell in love with the brand. Like there was another one where these guys, I think they just moved into an apartment. It's a very pretty old one. They moved into an apartment. The babe was showing her female friends the house, and then she opened her walk-in closet and put some shoes and clothes and bags. And these were just screaming like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" No, no, no. And then they heard noise on the other end. The guy is shouting, "Oh my god!" What happened? The guy opened the fridge and there was beer everywhere, and all the guys. Some people see them as just adverts, but they are stories. And it may be that you have written just one particular story, but does not mean that that story ends. It does not mean that that story stops. I at some points would move on from where I am, but I've told a lot of stories. Somebody else will take over, you know. But for brands and for corporate organizations, the story largely ties into their mission statements. And so long as that mission continues to hold true, they'll continue to tell stories in various ways about that mission statement. I could use now I'll come closer to home. I'll use the foundation for instance, where they are talking about empowering African entrepreneurs, blah 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 blah. Right? Every time the founder speaks, 100 speeches a year, how many speeches, how many meetings, whatever, whatever. He's not telling the people the same thing, but he's telling the same story every time in different ways. So yeah, I think that two things. You're always telling stories, one. Two, storytelling is continuous, regardless of whether you're the one telling the story or not. It doesn't end. As far as corporate brands exist, as long as that company exists, as long as that mission continues to be. If they rebrand, hmm, if they rebrand and they start to tell a new story, they can't start telling that new story without telling the old one. They will look back.
Yeah.
Companies will tell you today that okay, 100 years of doing so so and so. It's because like it's all stories. It's all stories. So yeah, I think that's so. I'll send practical examples. This Heineken one actually, I would send it to you so you can
Thank
also.
you, guys.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, guys. Uh, I think that's all. If there are more, expect me your DM, actually.
That's fine. That's fine. I can always reply via text,
Because, yeah,
inbox.
and I'll share to the group.
No
But
problem.
thank you very much, Deoye.
Do very well.
IG handle, please.
Oh,
I'll
my
share it on the
handle.
group
Yes, she'll share with you.
because
Nothing happens there, but she'll share with you.
I'll share. I'll also share his link as well.
Yeah, no
He tells
problem.
plenty stories there too. So,
Oh yeah, I do. I think I tell more stories on LinkedIn.
yeah. So thank you very
So
much. Thank you, guys. Okay,
sorry, I want to
Adapa.
ask something.
Okay,
This
please
is
go ahead.
comfort.
Oh, okay, comfort. Please go on. Sorry.
Okay, so I want to ask now for this art of storytelling now for corporate brands, because I think that's where his focus is on more, right? So, and we've agreed that it's a continuous thing.
Mhm.
I'm trying to link it with the, you know, how corporate brand has to be one kind of structured and, oh no. And then storytelling in my head is something fun, jovial, you know. So I'm trying to, how are we going to match that two things together? Is it that when we create, for example, now, okay, let's say you maybe the company is into, let's say, selling of no, let's say the company is to consultancy, yes, let's say business consultancy, and then you create content, you know, you'll say, sorry, as in the calendar now, you have educative content and then marketing and the rest of it, and then you want to infuse this storytelling into it. So I'm trying to find I don't
I
know,
get where
but
you.
that's where I'm stuck.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I would say that, and I think it's important that I actually like that you asked this question. I think it's important to acknowledge that there are places where storytellers will thrive more than other places, right? You won't thrive it. Storytellers won't thrive everywhere. They won't thrive in all industries. Some places will just be basic and generic, and you just all you most of what you'll be doing there is writing, not storytelling, right? But there are also a lot of places where people will thrive, where storytellers will thrive, and also there are places where you can reform how they position themselves and how they put themselves across through storytelling. It could be an experiment. You could just maybe carry out short experiments. For instance, you work in consulting. At that point, the stories may not necessarily have to do with you as a consulting brand. They may have to do with the people you consult for and the problems that you help them solve. The story may also be about your staff because people like relating with companies and organizations that they can put a face to. I know BB she works with or she oversees not enough writers. That's one. People when people put a face to, especially in today's age where almost everything is online, people want to be sure that you're not running away with their money or something else. So if they can say, I've seen this, I've seen this person, I've seen this person, I've seen this person, I know their stories, that's also a point of connection. So it's not necessarily the stories you may end up telling may not be about the products or the services. They may be about people. They may be about the workforce. They may be about the customers. Like I said, you have to figure out who is the star of that show. I acknowledge that not all brands are as good with storytelling, or not all brands are fertile ground for storytelling because some are story restrictive, some are so. Also, I think that it's important to note that we sometimes have an image of corporates that is not the same when, like, if you're in a corporate sometimes and you see the way they act and you see the way they like, na them it is like everybody is so anti, but they are just people. They are just regular people. They are people you meet on the streets. Like KPNG guys are just I am mighty and da with their suits and whatever. But at the same time, it's Shola from accounting and he's just a regular guy. You know, beyond, so you need to look for. There's always something behind whatever front. Like it's not on the surface. There's always something behind that. Really, that's where the story is. You just have to find it. There are people in places where they want to feel seen, right? Or they want to be known, they want to feel like they matter and all that. There's a company that I think it's JP Morgan, for instance. If you go to their Instagram page, I don't know about now, but as of a couple of years ago, what you think their Instagram page is a lifestyle brand because what they do, the kind of posts they make are mostly of their employees all around the world working, being in certain places and all that. Nothing else. That's their focus. That's what their Instagram is about. Like that's not where their work is. Of course, JP Morgan is not expecting you to come and DM for price. So it's none of their business. But they are more about their people on Instagram. It may be a different thing on LinkedIn where they are talking about the financing aspects or whatever they do and all that. But they just feel like, this is a visual platform. These are the kind of things that we want to do here, and that's it. So you don't also companies don't have to be the same thing across platforms, right? If you as a storyteller and as a brand can bring that across to management or whoever is leading, and you say that we want to have a TikTok account and this is what we want to be doing there, or this is what we should be doing on our Instagram, and then at the same time, data is your friend. You have data to back it up. Like people who do so and so and so and so and so get more engagement for but I think you'll find a place. There's always room for storytelling. It might not be across all fronts, but it might be in one particular place, and then you do. Look at PiggyVest. PiggyVest is a financial services app and all that. But they are talking about people in relationship like Ikoko. I'm talking about how people are saving. They are essentially telling stories. They are not just saying, what, put your money here, save money, financial prosperity and everything. They're actually now telling stories of the people who use their app and how they've been able to achieve financial independence. And yeah, storytelling.
Hi, Comfort. Was that helpful?
Yes, yes, it was. Thank you very
Yeah,
much,
you're
You're
welcome.
welcome.
I also
Mr.
think,
Falade.
in addition, I also think that I think a lot of us, when we hear storytelling, is like fiction writing. That's
Thank
all people
you.
hear. But
Thank you.
storytelling, as he said, is literally just telling a story. Whatever you pick as your story at each point in time becomes a story. So just to point that out so that you don't restrict yourself, right? Thinking that you have to write one serious book like that about your brand.
Yeah, that's actually
So
important.
so yeah. Okay. Any other last minute
Thank you, Bibi.
questions? You're welcome. Any? Okay. Alrighty. You should go and sleep small and get ready for Monday. Unpack your bags. Those of you that go 9 to 5. Ha.
Yeah.
Pack your bags and stuff.
That's us. We're not ourselves. Don't shout. Don't
Yes.
shout. Don't shout. We're
But
not
yeah,
ourselves.
thank you guys for showing up, for asking your questions, for listening. Thank you, Deoye. This was amazing. I will be in your DM. I
No
might have
problem.
questions
I
too.
have a bunch of links and stuff to send to you, so I'll send them
All
to you.
right. So have a nice evening and have a great week ahead.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
I'll send you have to send I'll upload two videos because you did double recording.